Hey guys, this is Jill Keller and I am doing a process video using July 2016 main kit and main kit add-on from Gossamer Blue. I have my page kind of pre-planned a little bit in the sense that I know where I'm going to place my photo and a few of the embellishments. So to start the mixed media aspect of things, I'm putting down a pretty thin layer of gesso. You can still see the pattern paper behind the gesso, so it's pretty thin. I just scraped it on with a gift card. And I made sure that my gesso layer was dry. And if you're unsure of whether or not it's dry, if it's cool to the touch, then it is still wet. So if it feels cool, it's not dry yet. Next, I'm going to use Shimmer's products. This is Chickadee, and some of these products have a little bit of shimmer and shine to them. Others, I think, maybe a flat color, but I just kind of like to use a mix of spray inks on my papers, so some have shimmer, some don't. And I'm using the packaging technique. I've done this before in other videos, and I kind of sped this up quite a bit since I've done it before in other videos. And for those of you who have seen others use this product technique, then I don't want to bore you completely. So I do dry both sides when I hit it with the heat gun, just to help with the warping. I find that if I dry from the front and then flip it over and dry from the back, it eliminates a lot of the warping. Also, when you put it in your page protector, that alleviates a ton of warping as well. It kind of flattens out. And if you're really worried about it, what you can do is, after you do the mixed media aspect of things before you start to embellish, you can put your dried paper underneath a stack of books. I happen to have a box that is 12 by 12, and it's got some papers and things like that in it. So I put my paper underneath that box and I leave it there for an hour, sometimes overnight, just to get my paper flattened back out. But warping doesn't bother me all that much. It only bothers me if my embellishments don't want to stick. So again, just doing the packaging technique, and once I get my base layer of color down, I like to go back in and then flick color. I definitely flick on the same color. So on the yellow section, I'll flick yellow. And then when you dry that, you get the hard edges and the variation in color and depth in color. And I think that's just so pretty, and it really does look like watercolor when you do that. So using the different colors, I think I said I used Chickadee, Pretty in Pink, Pop Art Pink, and Jenny B Blue. I didn't smush the Jenny B Blue down. I wanted the background to stay in the pinks and corals and yellows, but I wanted a little bit of contrast as well, so I added a little bit of the Jenny B Blue. And as you can see, I kept checking where my photo was going to go. I don't want to waste product if it's not going to be seen, so I kind of just did it in a circle, really. That way I'm not wasting a bunch of product in the center that's going to be behind the photo and no one's going to see it anyway. So once I get kind of satisfied with that, I will move on to getting the picture on the page. I almost always start with a layer of tissue paper or a layer of vellum behind my photo. I just like the look of it. There's really no reason to do that unless you like it, which I do. I like that it kind of gives the eye a little bit of a break between the photo and then my pattern papers. You could do it even if you use solids. As you know, I tend to use pattern on pattern. Pattern paper is probably my favorite thing ever. And so I like to use a little bit of tissue paper to give the eye a bit of a break. Also, a hand cut. Very rarely do I cut paper on my paper trimmer, which is funny to me because you can always see the edge of my paper trimmer in my videos. I use my paper trimmer for trimming out cut-aparts, like cut-apart sheets. We got several cut-apart sheets in the July kits. I'll use my paper trimmer for that. I use the paper trimmer to cut the branding strip off the bottom of the paper, but when it comes to doing layers on my page, I almost always hand cut. So now the fun part, I'm going to start embellishing. I used, I think, all of the Life is Beautiful from Fancy Pants on this page. There are a few little teensy tiny Simple Stories die cuts that I will add in at the end. So to put my page together, as you can see, I'm using liquid glue. I've talked about liquid glue before. It is probably my favorite adhesive. Generally, when I'm doing layers behind my photo, I use a tape runner. But other than that, you can find me using liquid glue most of the time. This is Scotch tacky glue. Scotch used to call it quick dry adhesive, I believe. I only have a Hobby Lobby. I don't have a Michaels or any other place like that to shop at. So at Hobby Lobby, they don't have the Scotch quick dry. They have the Scotch tacky glue, which says on the package it is quick dry. I don't know. I'm assuming that they just rebranded this glue. It still works the same. I don't see any difference in the way it sticks or the way it looks or anything compared to the old stuff when it was just Scotch quick dry. So a little quick glue lesson there for you. And I do put it in a fine liner bottle. So getting back to the layout, now that I've given you a glue lesson, those are 2 photo frames that were in the die cut pack, and I just cut them in half so I could use them in 2 different places on my page. A lot of times I will do that with my photo frames. I don't, for whatever reason, when I put a photo in a photo frame, whether it's die cut cardstock or chipboard piece, I don't, it doesn't work for me. I love it when other people do that, but when I do it, it just doesn't look right. So I tend to cut my frames in half and use them as layers. Adding in that little banner there. I did add some tangled thread behind some of the die cuts. I don't have any reason for doing that either. It's not relevant to the page. I just like the way that it looks. I think that it adds texture to your page, and I like that it gives your embellishments a little bit of a home, so to speak, that they're not just floating. So I like to add it for texture and color too, but it's primarily for me. I just like the way that it looks. It serves no purpose other than I think it's cute. So I added quite a few tangles. I used kind of a coral color and then a pale yellow. And that's the way I do it. I wind it over my fingers and then I kind of just get it all tingly. I just think it's adorable. And as far as the other stuff on the page, this page is a little snapshot I found of my daughter. I found her in the recliner one day reading, and I say reading in quotes because she can't read yet. She's 4. But my husband has been reading the Star Wars books, and she was seeing him do that a lot. So she decided she wanted to read Daddy's books too, and I just thought that that was precious. And she's dressed up like Elsa, so even better. But there's like really no rhyme or reason for these die cuts as far as the flowers or the hot air balloon or anything like that. When I do my pages, I do what I like. I'm not necessarily trying to match embellishments to the theme of the photo. I don't really scrapbook like that. I'm just putting together a page that I feel is pretty. So I watch other scrappers. Soap House Mama is one of them. She has regular videos on her blog. She does a lot of mixed media stuff. She art journals and she's very talented. But when she scrapbooks, she just adds things to her page that make her happy. And I love that attitude that she has, and I'm trying to embrace that a lot more. So on this page, I've got a hot air balloon, a typewriter, flowers, and a banner. And do they all go together? Maybe not, but in my head, it makes complete and total sense. So I'm just adding a few more flowers, and then I really wanted to use the word grow because her pretending to read is a sign of her growing up to me. I do end up adding that die cut word. I end up doing it right after I shut the camera off, but it will go about the spot that I had it there when I was messing with it. So I'm adding more tangled thread, again, just because I like it. And if I had to give anybody a tip on scrapbooking, it would be just do what you like. Don't do anything because somebody says you have to use the rule of thirds or you have to do a visual triangle. Yes, those are fantastic design elements and principles that you should understand and know, but you don't have to do a page because that's how art is created. I think that you should just do what you like and what pleases your eye. It's about what you like, not anybody else. These little tiny flowers are from Simple Stories, and they are just added in. When I was putting them on the page kind of randomly, I was thinking about how I would put pop dots, or not pop dots, enamel dots on my layout if I were to use them, just kind of sprinkled randomly, and that's how I treated the little flowers and hearts from Simple Stories, just little extra touches. Again, not really making sense. As far as the black striped heart though, where is that chevron? Chevron. I was trying to balance the black on the right side of the layout. I wanted to have a little bit of black. I do like to have balance on my pages in the sense that if I use one color on one page, on one side of the page, I'll use it on the other. I'll repeat it. That is one of the easiest ways to get a pleasing layout. And upcoming, oh, I'm going to add in my journaling first. Okay, so here's how I do my journaling most of the time. I find that when I just freehand it without the lines, my journaling tends to go up to the right. So I can't write straight to save my life. So I add in the pages with the T-ruler, and even with the T-ruler, I still get my lines crooked, so it's just a no-win for me, basically. But I'm trying. So I add in the lines with the T-ruler, and then I write my journaling, and then I will go and draw over the lines, the pencil lines. So I'm just adding a few little notes about how I found that Quinn reading, and I thought it was just absolutely precious. And I will add the date, and I will add the grow die cut, and I go in with a little bit of black spray ink and add just a few little dots of black to tie in the other black elements. And here is my final layout. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you have a fabulous day.